My friends, what you're about to see now is not a backroom political negotiation. It's the dirty and relentless technical account of the day the desert stopped. Pay close attention to the setting. American intelligence detects heavy movement. Rows of tanks and armored vehicles from the Islamic Revolutionary Guard are gathering and trying to move in to invade Kuwait. The official rhetoric from Tehran on state TV is aggressive, pointing fingers and vowing that the United States and its allies would be swept from the region. They threatened a full-scale offensive, thinking the Western world was looking the other way, only concerned about commercial fleets at sea. But what the Revolutionary Guard encountered on the way to Kuwait was not weakness. What they found was a technological lobotomy carried out with extreme brutality by the United States Central Command. On the 11th consecutive night of operations, the silence of the Persian Gulf was shattered. The decks of the American aircraft carriers turned into a controlled war zone. The ripping roar of the F-18 Super Hornet's engines as they took off in the darkness marked the end of denial. And it wasn't random bombing just to blow up sand in the desert, it was a surgical operation designed to humiliate. Somewhere on the outskirts of Bandar Bushehr, the Americans dropped smart bombs with a specific target, a power substation located just steps away from the only nuclear power plant operating in Iran. And here we need to translate this for you so you can grasp the sheer gravity of this tactical maneuver. What does it mean, strategically, to bomb an electrical substation next to an operating nuclear power plant? It means showing the Ayatollahs without any ceremony that the American superpower can simply turn out the lights on the dictatorship's entire operation, destroying the logistics of Iran's main energy infrastructure. And doing all this without firing a single shot directly at the reactor, avoiding a radioactive disaster, it's a demonstration of absolute control. It's the cold message that strategic patience is over. Then a storm of steel came down on the Iranian radars and hangars, turning the Ayatollah's attempt at rhetoric into ashes. The level of tactical humiliation that CENTCOM is imposing is almost embarrassing for the enemy. Now subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and like the video, because it takes a lot of work to make it. Pay attention. A few days ago, the Revolutionary Guard made the amateur mistake of posting a propaganda video on the internet, proudly showing off a secret underground drone base. They wanted to flex their muscles for the world to see. And what was the result? The next morning, that same complex was in flames. The Americans tracked the video and vaporized the base immediately, showing the regime that there is absolutely no safe hiding place on the map. But to understand how the United States carries out this lethal level of blockade, we need to look under the hood of the machines driving this war. What crosses the skies of the Middle East today is not just military aviation. It's the absolute fusion between human instinct and the cold processing of artificial intelligence. The backbone of this attack is the F/A-18 Super Hornet in its single-seat E variant and double-seat F variant, with the weapon systems operator in the rear. An air superiority monster weighing up to 29 tons at maximum takeoff weight, capable of tearing through the atmosphere at Mach 1.8, but speed is not its main weapon. The F-18 carries ESA active electronically scanned array radars. In practical terms, this means that the American pilot can map, lock on, and decide the fate of the enemy fighter before the Iranian radar even registers a simple echo on the monitor. The enemy is wrong. That's right, Hornet. Bigger planes, don't be fooled into thinking that Iran operates with a blind force in the desert. Intelligence has confirmed that the Iranian mobile radar trucks, the ones that come out of hidden bunkers, launch rockets at ships, and try to escape, are receiving updated coordinates directly from space. They're using data from Chinese commercial satellites. Uncle Xi is handing over target telemetry on a silver platter to the Revolutionary Guard in the Gulf. It's against this shadowy technological alliance that unites Chinese money and Iranian terror that American intelligence had to innovate. Operating above them, in the stratosphere, we have the F-15E Strike Eagle, designed to drop the brutal 900-kilogram JDAM bombs filled with high explosives. But the true silent revolution of this technological lobotomy goes by the name Shield A and its hive mind system. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard tried to be smart. They created an environment of electronic denial, heavily blocking GPS signals throughout the Persian Gulf to blind Western missiles. And the American response was to introduce collaborative combat aircraft. Imagine the following. The X-Bat drone, costing $27 million, is a disposable asset compared to the $80 million F-18. The hive mind system allows an autonomous fleet of X-Bats to fly dozens of kilometers ahead of the manned fighters, diving headfirst into an environment where GPS has been obliterated. Artificial intelligence takes control. And these stealth drones carry out reconnaissance, handle electronic warfare, and relay the exact firing coordinates to the human pilot waiting at a safe distance. The machine penetrates the defenses and the man pulls the trigger. But why was this storm of steel unleashed with such fury on the 11th night? If we rewind the clock just 14 hours, Iran declared the unofficial end of any ceasefire. They tried to saturate the Gulf's defenses by launching swarms of drones and missiles at Allied positions. Jordan had to intercept 8 out of 10 projectiles tearing through its sky. Air raid sirens blared in Bahrain. And Kuwait was forced to engage its defense batteries in real time, but the ultimate red line was crossed at sea. A commercial ship was brutally hit in the Strait of Hormuz, injuring and maiming 12 sailors. It was this scene, blood spilled, that changed the rules of the game. President Trump directly instructed the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, with an unequivocal order. If American forces are targeted, the military response will be 20 times stronger and more devastating. And all this tactical brutality was tied together by a new political doctrine of zero tolerance. Iran believed that the war would follow the rule of proportionality. The American administration destroyed this concept with a new post on social media. The message from the commander-in-chief was short and lethal. From this moment on, whenever the Islamic Republic of Iran fires at a ship in the Strait of Hormuz, whether with a missile or a drone, the United States will bomb and destroy a bridge or a power plant, including those located within the capital, Tehran. The rules have changed. A ship hit at sea means vital infrastructure vaporized in the capital, and we need to convey that impact here because it is important. Why focus on bridges and power plants in the heart of Tehran and not just on military targets at the border? Wouldn't that be fairer? No, my friends. Because it's in Tehran that the regime's elite, the great ayatollahs, and the Revolutionary Guard generals live in luxury. If the state cuts the power, if the elite feel the cold, the darkness, and the humiliation inside their own mansions, the regime collapses from internal implosion. They lose their aura of power before their people, the moral contrast in this repugnant war. While the Iranian leadership rushes to board cargo planes, fleeing inland and using cardboard cutouts of the Ayatollah at public events out of sheer fear of assassination, they continue massacring their own population. Amid the bombings, an Iranian court found time to try and hang 2 young protesters, aged 18 and 23. After a mass trial that lasted less than an hour, they are willing to execute their own youth to protect their seat of power, but they cower when the American radar goes off. And to try to mask this desperation and project a false image of strength, Iran has ramped up its military rhetoric. They went on state television to threaten a large-scale ground invasion against Kuwait, promising to capture the American military personnel stationed in the country. The problem with this heated rhetoric is the unchangeable geography. Iran does not share a land border with Kuwait. And to carry out a ground invasion, Iranian armored columns would have to move down and march through southern Iraq, across a vast expanse of open and completely exposed desert. If they attempt this military insanity, what awaits them is not a battle. It's an open-air meat grinder. We have more than 13,500 American soldiers concentrated in Kuwait and on standby, more than 50,000 throughout the Middle East. Expeditionary forces, paratrooper forces, fighter jets, drones, aircraft carriers, all prepared to put an end to this crazy idea. But the deadly strategic assessment is this: the American soldier on the ground is not alone. He won't be getting into a trench firefight. He is just the tip of the spear of a satellite-connected ecosystem. If Iran sends a tank across its border toward Iraq, the satellite records the heat signature and artificial intelligence calculates the route. The US Army's PRSM missiles, integrated with the F-15 Strike Eagles sweeping the desert, pulverize the target in just a few seconds. Each Iranian tank is already mathematically dead before the driver even shifts into first gear. It's the total submission of the enemy through air and technological dominance. And terrorist brazenness tries to export this chaos to our borders. The war is no longer regional. In Russia, the Zircon hypersonic missiles are forcing Ukraine to speed up its own missile defense production lines. But the red alert sounded in the United States' own backyard. On this same tense night of bombings, air traffic control at LaGuardia Airport in New York issued a terrifying emergency warning. Intercepted audio recordings captured the tower alerting Delta Flight 2604 on its final approach. Manpads alert issued at LaGuardia Airport. Use extreme caution. Manpads are portable shoulder-launched anti-aircraft missile systems, the signature weapon of terrorist groups funded by the Iranian state. A heavy commercial aircraft with its landing gear down, minutes from touching down, has no evasive maneuvering capability. It's a sitting target in the air. The port police searched the area and declared the threat not credible hours later. But the tactical connection is undeniable. Psychological terrorism tests the West's defenses all the time. And the open question that will define this week's geopolitics is clear. If asymmetric intelligence dares to test New York City's airspace with missile threats, what do you think it will be? The level of violence and authorization to open fire the White House will grant in the Strait of Hormuz in the next 72 hours. Bureaucrats abhor analyses that tear the veil off the system. They try to silence us because lethal information sets people free. I'm running for the iBest award in the political influencer category. I want to throw in the establishment's face the formidable strength that our elite analyst community has. I'm asking for your vote now. The link is in the description. We went from 40th place and today we're in first place. And we need to keep it until next Tuesday, when qualification for the national top 20 will happen. Then we'll move on to the next stage. So I'm counting on you now, because we're competing against the communists. We're competing with journalists who are there mourning the Ayatollah's passing. Now go down to the comments and type the words that define the verdict of our intelligence analysis tonight. Type now, technological lobotomy and checketa. I repeat, technological lobotomy and checkmate. Take your place. And I'm going to teach you how to master the media so your business can be as lethal and undeniable as an F-18. Because in business, the law of survival is exactly the same as in geopolitics. The lesson from this geopolitical chess game applies perfectly to your professional life. Those who don't control their own narrative inevitably become hostages. Today, the most valuable currency on the planet is attention. For an entrepreneur, what hurts the most is being undeniably the best at what you do and still being invisible. You have a great business, but no one knows you exist. Have you noticed how hard it is for people to pay attention to serious content on social media? It seems like only dance videos or memes go viral. I used to think the same way. 15 years ago, when I started in radio and television, I understood that the mechanism to build authority depends mainly on content and a solid strategy. Media is the game now, my friends. See how Simed and Havan stores, one a pharmaceutical company, the other a department store, managed to triple their sales. A pharmaceutical company realized it needed to become a media company? The reality is that your identity cannot be outsourced. The business owner here, we remember Luciano Huang, the owner of Havan, needs to put himself out there and set the vision. And that's exactly what they did. The days are over when you could just record with your phone any way you wanted, with no authority, and still make sales. Today, this space demands professionalism. And I'm recruiting entrepreneurs or professionals who are the best at what they do, but are invisible to the system. If you want to break through the bubble, be recognized in your market, and have an empire monetized in dollars, forcing the algorithm to work for you with the exact machine. From my 50 million views every month on social media, all monetized in dollars, I created a hands-on immersion. On August 16th, I will hold this immersion 100% in person, face-to-face with me inside my studio in Curitiba with my professional team. I will take you by the hand and show you the way. It will be a practical meeting, limited to only 10 people, and there are only 5 spots left. I will personally support, guide, and direct you in building your authority, so your business can appear professionally and with a lethal method. QR code on the screen, link in the description, and in the first pinned comment. But I need to be blunt. There are only 5 spots. When the last one is taken, the steel door closes, and that's it. Click the button that's on the screen now and access the link in the description. Secure your spot. And I'm recommending 2 fantastic series that talk a little about the war in the Middle East. One of them is called Tehran, the Mossad's infiltration inside the Iranian regime, and the other one is called Homeland. Fantastic, where you'll understand a little bit, right? It seems like cinema can predict the future, and it's true. So, for you to check out these tips and others, and not waste any more time looking for good titles in streaming catalogs, we created our channel with tips on series and movies. The link is there in the description, in the pinned comment, and in the card that will appear on your screen. Subscribe, and enjoy this channel with the quality of Shimon Oliveira. Now subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and leave a like on the video, because it takes a lot of work to make. Blend your mind. I'm Shimon Oliveira, and I'll see you next time. See you then.